Stories inform us to what is possible. Stories influence us to what is needed. And stories inspire us to what could be. Stories happen when people live their life to the fullest. These are the Storytellers. Welcome back to Storytellers, the program that brings you the stories, the true stories that good does happen. And the fact that it's often started by one person or a small group of people, and oftentimes in spite of their full-time jobs, but sometimes it becomes a vocation that then turns into a career. I had the good fortune of meeting Brent McDonald a few weeks ago. And if you don't know it by now, I ask everybody, so what do you do? And I was blown away by his answer. He has a program called Cottage Cove, an after-school program for inner-city youth that he has been running for over 18 years. A phenomenal program. But instead of hearing it from me, I'd like you to hear it from Brent McDonald. Brent, thank you so much for giving me your time, because I know you're really, really busy. You have Cottage Cove here on Aquatic Drive, and where is your other center?
It's in Madison.
In Madison. So you've been here over 18 years. Could you tell the audience, what's the purpose of Cottage Cove? What was the end goal?
Cottage Cove is designed to give at-risk children an opportunity that they wouldn't otherwise have. And so educational opportunities, training in the arts, life skills classes, and of course we're a faith-based program as well.
Christianity
Yes.
is your faith base. Now, when you said life skills, could you be more specific?
Life skills can be anything. For example, I had a little guy walking through one of our rooms one day and he said, "Mr. Brent, what's that?" And I had to think about what he's asking about. And I had a hammer in my hand and he had no idea what a hammer was. And
really?
Yes, what it was used for. And so from that came the idea of having a woodworking class. And we had a local businessman that came in and taught for years a woodworking class.
So it isn't just you and a handful of staff and volunteers. You have people from the community that have a certain skill that they bring here?
Yes, and volunteers are the backbone of this. We have a very small professional staff, but it's mostly volunteers that make this possible.
And how long has this program been going on?
Started 25 years ago.
And you've been here 18, correct?
That's correct.
How has it evolved? What's been the changes from 18 years ago, from when you took over as director to now?
Not a lot has really changed in the big picture. You're still helping at-risk kids. They still have the same challenges. Most of our time is that we've kept adapting what specifics that we want to be doing as part of the program. And so educational opportunities have always been part of that, but what we do for education may change a little bit.
Now, you have from what grade to what grade?
Started kindergarten in age 5, so you have to be age 5 into kindergarten, and then it's really once Cottage Cove, always Cottage Cove. So once you've started Cottage Cove, you can stay all the way through.
All the way through. I went to your website after I spoke to you, and go to Cottage Cove website. There are going to be some testimonials on there from people that have, young people that have gone there. And I want to bring this point out. This really impacted me. They might only go for 1 year, and this might be an elementary school. And yet years later, when they have graduated from college, they come back to tell you what you've done. I'd like you to share with the audience just 1 or 2 of those really specific.
Okay, well, over the years, oftentimes I'll get a phone call and it'll be, "Mr. Brent, you still there?" And then, "Can I come down and see you?" And when they stop by, we get to hear some of the stories. Sometimes it was a child that was in our program and they might have been there for 2 or 3 years and then gone overnight. And sometimes we have no way of even knowing where they went. And then, in the case of 2 brothers that ended up in Atlanta, and when they came back to tell their story, not only had they graduated high school, they'd done well, they each went to 2 different colleges, then decided to start a business together.
And they attribute a lot of their success because they attended Cottage Cove.
Yeah, the Cottage Cove, the skills that they learn as part of that are things that they apply to their life as they grow up.
It sounds like it's a very structured program. How do the kids that might be coming from an environment of, hey, the latchkey kids, they're babysitting themselves perhaps, or both parents have to work 2 jobs, and so they pretty much run themselves in the house. How do they come into this very structured program? What happens there?
Well, oftentimes we joke that some of the youngest kids that come into our program have never heard the word no. And so the idea of consequences for behavior just isn't there at all. And so I'm thinking of one particular child that over and over again, and we have structure and discipline as part of our program, so you can lose your free time. And we had this one child that lost his free time every day for a year. And I actually had volunteers coming to me saying, why do you let this child come? He's just disruptive. And I said, he's going to sooner or later learn that there's consequences. And so it was about a year in, and suddenly it was almost like a light bulb came on where he suddenly realized, you mean I could be having fun during free time like all the other kids just by following the rules? And so, years later I'd have people come and I'd tell that story and they say, well, is the child still in the program? And I'd go, yes, he is. And they go, can I know who it is? And I'd say, oh, he's one of the good ones. But it took that time for him to develop that there's consequences to your behavior. The schools actually wish that they could have some of the discipline structure we have because they can see that it's beneficial to the kids.
I want to take this moment here because what this program reminds me of is one of this country's greatest teachers. Her name was Marva, M-A-R-V-A, Collins. Her story reminds me, you remind me, you both are doing the exact same thing. Can you share with us what you alluded to the fact the public school system, which they wishes they could put in that much structure. Can you share with us some of the amazing things that the kids are doing while they're in your program?
Well, for me, one of my favorites is public speaking. And young children, kids that are in grade 1, grade 3, that they actually audition for and sign up for a particular activity. And we've always said that if you're going to sign up for an activity, you're going to stick with it because you just can't go, oh, this is hard and I'm going to drop out of it. And so the kids that get involved with that end up spending hours and days actually learning the principles of speaking and doing it first just with 1 or 2 people in the room, moving up to large crowds, then all of Cottage Cove is getting to actually hear them, and then finally doing it in front of 200 guests that we have at one of our events each year.
I believe in you. Do you believe in me? Do you believe I can stand up here fearless and talk to all of you? Hey, Cottage Cove Urban Ministries, do you believe in me? That's right, they do. Do you believe in your Cottage Cove staff and volunteers? I hope so. They came to Cottage Cove because they wanted to make a difference. Believe in them, support them, and pray for them, especially when times get tough. And we all know we kids can sometimes make it tough. Am I right? Can I get an amen? There's probably easier ways for the staff to make a living. But I want to tell you, on behalf of all the students at Cottage Cove, we need you. We need you now more than ever. Please believe in your Cottage Cove staff and volunteers, and they'll believe in you.
How much does it cost to come here?
Our program is designed to be free, so your after-school program every day really only has the requirement that you have to maintain the minimum standards, and behavior is one of those standards, things of that sort. Other than that, they can continue to come free the entire time.
Can you tell me or share with the audience, this is one of my pet peeves, what has the electronic devices and social media, do you have a problem with that, with the kids coming in with their own phones and all that, and do you require them to put them up?
Yeah. We are a cell phone free zone in that any of that electronics and things of that sort, get put away during the time they're here, because we want them to be having the experiences that we used to have all the time, but they don't have at home. They're usually just sitting in front of one of these electronic devices. And of course, right now with what's going on with COVID, you're even more screen time. You know, your homework, everything, schoolwork, everything's being done on a screen. And so even the kids that are coming right now, one of the things they miss is that they haven't been together with their friends. They haven't had a chance to be out on the playground. They haven't had a chance to actually run around and do something. And so we're trying to have a lot of hands-on activities. And that can mean, you know, many of the families don't have things that we had as basics like Lego. And so one of the activities you can sign up for Cottage Cove is Lego, where you can sit and you know, as a volunteer can come in, sit on the ground, work with a kid as he's trying to design something with Lego.
I notice there's a guitar there. Do you have musicians come and teach that skill?
Yes, and one thing that's good about Nashville, we've got lots of musicians.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, many of the skills that we want to have, music classes, and if I can have percussion or guitar or piano, we have instructors that come and do that. We've had a songwriter come and teach the kids how to write music.
Really?
Yes.
That's something that I didn't have in school, but you're providing it here today in the 21st century. That is so amazing.
And we also have field trips that the kids earn, and so they want to do reading and homework because they can earn their field trips, and then those are all donated experiences for the most part. That can be going to a Nashville Predators game, but we've also had pilots donate the use of their planes and take the kids flying.
I saw that on your website. When your children come here, it's like entering an encyclopedia of what's possible. What can I do? One of the things on your website that really touched me were the testimonials actually you sent me the direct links of young people who are now in college, and yet they're still talking about Cottage Cove. And one of them was a young lady. She was a senior in high school.
Jade.
Yes, that was her name, yes. Jade. So she was talking about some field trips that she went on that were so meaningful to her. Now, you came here 18 years ago and became the director, but you're not just the director here. You also have something that's very significant here in Nashville. I'd like you to share with the audience that special place that you have and how it came about.
Well, my hobby has been biblical archaeology, and so I've been involved in biblical archaeology and spending time in the Middle East at archaeological digs for decades. And
you go every year?
Yeah, try to go every year, and sometimes twice in 1 year if I can. And then was able to actually create a private museum here in Nashville, and so that's also something that the kids at Cottage Cove have an opportunity to come over and hands-on. So we're not only just talking about the Bible, they can hands-on see these items, hold on to it. My museum's quite different in that you can actually hold on to something that's 3,000 years old.
So, what have you seen come about as a change when you bring your students over there and go through your museum? Has anything, a kid just all of a sudden got into history and just can't get enough? Something come from that?
Oh, definitely. And I'm thinking of an older student that's in our program, Jimmy, and you know, Jimmy just loves every opportunity. He could ask 1,000 questions while his time he's there, and as you're going out the door at the end of the time, he's going, but I have one more. Where
you have not much of an accent, but where are you originally from?
Originally from New Brunswick, Canada, and we lived and traveled on the road for 10 years. In helping out in different organizations in different places, and from that I met Tom Shoemate, who started Cottage Cove 25 years ago, and so we were volunteers back in those days, and then the board asked me to come 18 years ago.
So if someone watching this program got the idea, I want to start, I need to do something, would you come and speak for them or mentor them?
Most definitely, and I've had an opportunity to do that a few times because there are other ministries that are running on our model around the United States right now. Yes.
Tell me what other states?
Jacksonville, Florida,
yeah,
was one that comes to mind, and then I know of 2 in Ohio as well that are using our model. One by a former intern who actually is to do that. Yes.
Are you in email and phone contact quite a bit with them, or?
On and off, I'll get questions. And sometimes they'll send their staff to actually come and spend a day or two with us to see how our program runs.
Wow. So that's kind of like, you need to go to the mother house.
Yes.
Get good training and then come back and see what you can do. I asked you before this interview if you could give a heads up to the staff or volunteers, and the one day that we could do the interview is the day that the staff and all the volunteers are out doing food delivery or pickup.
Yeah, because of COVID, we actually have both food pickup and delivery, and because we're doing care packages for the families that are impacted by COVID right now.
Brent, there's someone out there right now that would like to hear the overall philosophy and driving force of Cottage Cove, of what makes Cottage Cove so effective. Brent, please share with them.
For us, it's not enough to see kids just survive. And there's a number of organizations that are actually trying to help kids, and they're well-meaning, and they're giving, for every hand that's out, they're trying to fill that hand. But for us, it's to see kids have the skills and the understanding that they need to not merely survive, but to thrive.
Brent, your time is so, you've got 2 centers, all these kids, and plus, this doesn't just happen. We really appreciate your time. And now the person that got volunteered by everybody that works here, Michelle Sobota, we'd like to talk to her right now.
Okay. Thank you so much.
This is a continuation of the Cottage Cove interview. Don't miss this part, because Michelle Sobota was volunteered by the entire staff. She wasn't here. She didn't come back to work till today, and they volunteered her yesterday. That's a job for Michelle. Michelle, thank you so much for giving us your time. You've been on vacation, or where have you been?
I have been home with my toddler.
Oh, okay.
For the summer. That was the plan in January, was to take the summer off and spend time together as a family. 2020 wanted us to spend a lot more time together. So, yeah. So this is my first day back, and here we are.
And you're a full-time staff member, and you've been here how long?
I've been here 4 years. This is my 5th school year, actually.
That's your 5th school year. And your background, you're a teacher.
My background is, I went to school for elementary ed, K through 5, and then I actually moved to Bulgaria and worked with a gypsy community.
If you didn't catch that, she said Bulgaria, the country, and worked with a gypsy community for how long?
For 3 years.
3 years. And in our pre-talk, you said you were the only outsider in this community of how many?
It's about 4,000 people in this gypsy community.
What were you doing there?
Well, something similar to Cottage Cove, actually. So I was working alongside the church there, and so we were doing after-school programs. We were working together. A lot of times overseas, there's not a youth group and a youth minister, and so that's taken on by other members of the church. And so I was joining into that and working with the youth. I would have kids over, we do puzzles. They wanted to learn English, but I actually taught them Bulgarian because gypsies grow up learning Romani, which is gypsy language. And then they don't learn Bulgarian oftentimes until they go to school.
Really?
And so I had my grammar lessons that started off from kindergarten and went on up to like 8th grade or something like that. And so I said, well, if I can speak Bulgarian better than you can, we're going to learn Bulgarian before we learn English. But then we play games and make brownies. Brownies don't exist there. They do now. So like little things like that.
Are they called Michelle cookies?
They are not. So just, like anything that we think, oh, let's make chocolate chip cookies. Oh, let's make brownies. That is, that's a different culture to them, and that's a fun thing. And so we would try making different things.
What exactly do you do here at Cottage Cove for these kids?
Here at Cottage Cove, the thing that was so appealing to me about coming here to work was when I read that they take kids from surviving to thriving. I feel like oftentimes, I'm in survival mode and I want to thrive, and I think that's this year in particular, a lot of us have gone from surviving and now we want to be thriving in something, no matter how that looks. And so being able to take these kids where they are when they may not have food, when they may not have a stable home environment, or whatever it is, maybe they come from the most normal home. Whatever their background is, to take them from whatever their survival is in the moment to thriving, to being able to give back. We have students who started off in elementary school. They started off kindergarten to 4th grade and coming to Cottage Cove and being the student and playing and getting into trouble and doing their homework and going on field trips and all of these things. And now they're in high school. And in high school, they're required to have volunteer hours to complete their high school education. And so now these students will come and say, can I volunteer today?
Here at Cottage Cove.
Here at
and there
Cottage
used to
Cove.
be one of the students.
Right.
Okay.
And so to see students going from being part of this program, being ministered to, just receiving, to years later being able to give back, it's
Because
really
you only
amazing.
really give back when you're thriving yourself. Because if you're only surviving, you're going to take care of number one first.
Right.
But you guys have made it so that they can thrive, and now they're giving back.
Yeah, and it's just really awesome to see the kids who have gone from, just survival, and you can see it. I'm here, I'm doing what I have to do to get to the next moment. 2 months later, them playing and helping a friend and saying, oh, you don't know how to tie your shoe? Let me help you tie your shoe. I'm a mom now. And back when I wasn't, Mother's Day would come around and all the kids would say, Happy Mother's Day. Oh my gosh, sorry. And so the kids would say Happy Mother's Day because I'm their Cottage Cove mom. And so it really is your Cottage Cove family. And you'll have the kids say, oh, he's my brother, he's my sister, she's my cousin. I'm like, they're not your brother or sister. Oh, they're my Cottage Cove family. And so it really is a family here.
You can't buy that.
You can't. And so it's great. Every family has its challenges, and we definitely have ours.
Biggest challenge for you with one-on-one, what was it?
Biggest challenge. Well, some of the funniest challenges have been with the middle schoolers. I'm 5'6", and some of the middle school boys are taller than me and have been taller than me ever since I came. They were 12 and taller than me. And so looking up to a child and trying to discipline them, saying, no, you need to go to lost free time now. And so disciplining a child who's taller than you and making them go sit in a little chair for 15 minutes because they misbehaved. That's been one of the more funnier challenges. And, one of those boys I was just talking about, he comes back and volunteers.
Does he? Is he strict with the kids that he's tutoring?
He is strict. And the tutoring part, we have kids who struggle with reading or with math, and then you'll see them later on helping a 1st grader or a 2nd grader, come back and say, oh, here, let me help you. Can I help out in homework today? Miss Michelle, I don't want to go to Legos, or I don't want to go outside on the playground. Can I help in homework? Yes, you can definitely go help out in homework.
I want to work instead of play.
Yes, and it's like, I want to do this today. And we have the reward store. So every day when the kids come, they're given bonus tokens, just for attendance, and then they do something, they're not asked to help a friend tie their shoe, and they say, oh, let me help you. You can give a bonus token for that as a teacher. Or you say, oh, you saw them pick up a piece of trash and throw it away without being asked. That's something that they weren't required to do. You can get a bonus token for doing that. Or being the first ones with your quiet fingers up. Being a modeling good behavior for other students. And so every week, every student gets to come to the reward store. So we have school supplies, we have cakes, we have toys, we have clothing in the reward store. Nothing costs money, but nothing's free. And so they get to use their bonus tokens to buy things in the reward store.
I get this profound feeling from you that it's obvious you love working here. I want to give you a forum right now. You're recruiting for Cottage Cove for volunteers. What would you say to them? Why do they need to come here and volunteer?
I would say these kids will change your life. If you feel like you are at a point that you're surviving and you want to thrive, start giving back. Start giving back. Come read a book with a child. Play Legos. Play on the playground. If you teach music, if you are musically inclined, please come, because I cannot do that. You do not want the next generation to learn how to play music from me. But these kids, they have so much love. You come and you think, I'm helping this child, but they will change you. Come, volunteer. If you don't like kids, we have yard work.
So what about older people? What about someone that has just recently retired and they might have been, I don't know, an engineer or whatever occupation, but they to teach reading, to teach math, to teach whatever. Would you want that age group?
Oh, definitely.
Do you have any right now?
We do have a few. We have a couple who was coming, and they were in their 60s or 70s, I think, and they would come and teach sewing. And
really?
Yeah. And then her husband would actually just come and play Connect Four, or help out with homework, or let a kid read a book or color with a child. And so they would teach sewing. We've had some come and teach art. You don't have to be a professional in that skill to be able to help out.
I see.
You don't have to come and say, oh, I'm teaching this today. You can come and help out, and just the kids, whenever they have a buddy, I'll say, why don't you teach them the rules today? Why don't you teach them about Cottage Cove? They love it. They will.
The kid teaching
the kid will
the adult.
Teach the adult. The kid will teach the volunteer, and we'll go show them everything. And those are my favorite moments with the volunteers. Is when the child says, "Let me show you everything, and let me teach you the rules, and let me play Legos with you. Let me show you how to do this." They're teaching.
I sometimes, we all have stereotypes in our minds, and because I'll run into so many teenagers and they have this, what I call flat affect, bored to death, don't bother me, all of that. Do your teenagers act like that here at Cottage Cove?
I don't think they do. I think sometimes teenagers, they're having so many changes happen in their mind and bodies that they don't know exactly how to process everything in the moment. But the teenagers here, there's definitely some moments where it's like, okay, I need some alone time, but they love to get back. They love to just hang out on the basketball court and play basketball, or just hang out and talk, or color, or have someone actually interested about their day, and someone who will listen.
I heard the terminology Christmas with dignity, and I would like Brent and you to tell the audience about what is this Christmas with dignity that you guys have created?
Christmas with Dignity was an idea that came out of, first, like well-meaning organizations everywhere. We knew that there was kids that weren't going to be able to celebrate Christmas, and we had a straight giveaway where people donated items and gave those to the kids. The problem was Christmas morning came and the parent had nothing to give to their child. And so Christmas with Dignity is the idea that we could transform the building into a store. the parents can be invited, and it's to provide for everything they need for Christmas. Socks and underwear, or clothing, clear up to that big item like a bicycle with helmet.
How long have you been doing this? This Christmas with Dignity?
20 years now.
Oh, 20 years. So
yes.
you weren't at the beginning of it. You were here for.
Thankfully, I was not at the beginning. I came in when it was a well-oiled machine.
What have you heard, because he's the director,
right.
Your staff, have you heard some comments from parents about this? I mean, I'm amazed. I'm not involved, but this is so effectively unique. I can't think, I'm at a loss for words, because I don't think I would have ever thought about that. You guys are pretty something. What have you heard parents say about this concept, Christmas with Dignity?
It really is amazing, because they can come in and they're buying these items for $1 to $15. And so it's a Christmas that they can afford. And that's where the dignity comes in, is that all of this, they picked out these items. But something new that's happened over the past couple years is our women's clothing department. And starting off, I was in charge of the gift wrap room. Well, this year I got to be in charge of the women's clothing department. We had an entire room of just women's clothing. And so all these moms and aunts and grandmas are coming in and shopping for their families and thinking kids, kids, kids. And then they come to this room and I say, anything you can put in this bag is $1. And they're like, I get to shop for me. You know, I mean, as a mom, you don't get to shop for yourself very often.
Right,
and I only have one kid. So I know it's just to see their faces light up. You know, pregnant moms come through and I say, I have maternity clothes. And they're like, what? You know, their focus is on the child, on the student so much that you kind of forget about yourself. And so that was so fun this year, was to be in the women's clothing room and say, oh, what size are they now? Oh, your she's a teenager now, let me pick out some stuff, you know, like knowing the kids. And so that was really fun for me this year, be able to give back to the caretakers that way.
Flip side of the coin, where'd all this stuff come from?
All donated items, and we have people that like to shop, and we always encourage you to go out and actually buy items and bring them, drop them off. Cash donations, literally we're out spending $10,000, $20,000 of donated money to go out and buy the items that are needed to do this. And it's a wide range, because we're trying to do everything, like hygiene items, shampoo, toothpaste, toothbrushes. That's all part of this as well.
You also mentioned a bike with a helmet.
Yes, and some larger items like that, and even an item for the whole family. Like if that family doesn't have a microwave, we likely have a microwave there, so they can do it for the whole family as well. And the average family spends $22, $23 and has all of Christmas.
For $22?
Yes.
You mentioned, I had asked earlier, I said, how would I know what to buy for an 8-year-old or a 15-year-old? And it was not even a moment, oh, you do this, Darren. You bring in an 8 or a 15-year-old with you. What do you want? And then you just buy that thing. The Christmas with Dignity. I can't get over that. That is so effectively unique. I'm at a loss for words. Thank you again. I'm so glad that you were the Bulgarian Gypsy Volunteer Absentia. Thank you, Brent.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Please share this video with everyone. Cottage Cove, you need to get this message out, not only for this organization, but for other people, other places that might want a template to start for their community. Thank you.